Please, Dr. Johnson, help my husband. He's all we have. His blood sugar was through the roof. He's in a diabetes-induced coma because of his dangerously high blood sugar. Let's pray he wakes up from this. And there's something else, madam. We'll need to amputate his leg to get his blood sugar under control. That's about the best we can do for him right now. You should continue praying, madam. It's hard to believe that was me, Tunde, just 3 years ago. You see, type 2 diabetes has tortured me, left me devastated, and terrorized my family. Diabetes made me a slave to several medications and emptied my bank account. It pushed me into a deadly diabetic coma for 2 days. A coma not the doctors, my family, or anyone thought I would ever wake up from. And when I did, they told me I would have my legs amputated in the next few weeks. But by the grace of God, my case never got to needing amputation. As my leg and life were saved by what happened next, I would always thank God forever for this miracle. Even though diabetes almost sent me to an early grave, what happened next completely changed the course of my life. I'm only here to tell you the story because I was lucky to survive. I reversed my type 2 diabetes and you can too. After my short incident with type 2 diabetes induced coma, I went on to discover the true cause of type 2 diabetes, and I promise you, it's not what you think. Forget what they told you when they say diabetes is caused by your genetics or family history, your age, your weight, lack of exercise, or eating too much sugar. The truth, according to top universities and medical institutes in the world, is that diabetes is caused by one tiny group of small protein derivatives in our body that makes it impossible for the body to absorb sugar normally. This protein derivative causes the toxic fat cells to stick to your sugar absorbing cells, making it difficult for them to absorb sugar for effective body functions. I know this sounds a little complicated, but stay with me for the next few minutes of this short video because I'm going to reveal to you exactly how to target the root cause of type 2 diabetes with nothing but only a bunch of natural shrubs nature has given to us. I will expose the clever trap the big powers in the diabetes industry have set up to hide this information and trick you, me, and over 15 million other diabetics in Nigeria to keep taking their medications for the rest of our lives. And I'm also going to share the exact combination of these natural shrubs that helped me reverse my type 2 diabetes, lose almost 40 pounds of ugly fat around my belly, thighs and arms, and amaze my friends and families. In fact, anybody can use this method to reverse their type 2 diabetes, no matter if you're 40, 60, 70 or even 80 years of age, man or woman. It doesn't matter if you've had diabetes for 10 years or only 10 weeks, I guarantee you can safely use this method to completely reverse your type 2 diabetes and start living your best life again. All of this sounds like a lot of promises you've heard before, but you should hear them from people who have used what I'm going to share with you to reverse their type 2 diabetes too. Mrs. Salam Adegboyega sent me an email and said, "Your video has made a remarkable difference in my life. My blood sugar level is now under 120. I have more energy than ever and I have been able to finally lose the weight and keep it up for good. Now I'm able to eat all I want without fears of spiking my blood sugar or putting unnecessary pressure on my family." Mr. Danladi's doctor was already talking about amputation before he found the first version of this video. He said, "Tunde, I don't know how to thank you enough. I was scheduled for a leg amputation surgery because my blood sugar has almost reached 500. In just 6 weeks of following your unique solution to diabetes, now I am totally free from the daily pain of diabetes, the horrible side effects and the tasteless food. This transformed my life and saved me lots of money on medicine. I was honestly very skeptical to try this method at first, but facing a life or death situation left me with no choice but to try it out. And now I am completely free from diabetes and I've started rebuilding my life again. I now have the energy to play with my grandchildren, and most of all, I would never have to take all of these dangerous medications ever again. I am also going to share a simple test that shows that you may be closer to a diabetic coma like the one I had. You see, we've been brainwashed by the big diabetes industry to think we'll be fine once we take our diabetes medications. Nobody thinks their conditions could lead to an amputation, drop into a diabetic coma like I did, or go blind forever. But that's what diabetes does to people like us. Doctors don't tell the truth about how dangerous diabetes can be because they don't want to give us a lot of worries. But it still doesn't change the fact that diabetes is a big killer disease. Did you know that 1 in every 6 diabetic patients fall into a deadly coma like I did? And did you know that 1 in 4 diabetic eventually have their legs amputated? What about blindness? Type 2 diabetes accounts for about 4 in every 10 cases of blindness in adults. More of us fall victims to the conspiracy of the big diabetes industry every day. You see, diabetes can lead to several other life-threatening conditions like stroke, heart attack, kidney failure, and even memory failure known as dementia. My discovery revealed much worse than my doctor has ever told me about diabetes, and I will share all of them with you in the next few minutes. Now I feel I should tell you a bit about myself. My name is Tunde Adeoye. I'm 63 years old. I have 3 grown-up children who have since moved out. The first 2 have started their own families, and my last child just finished NYSC. My problem with type 2 diabetes started in my early 50s. I started noticing some unusual symptoms. I had these uncontrollable cravings for soft drinks, junk, and other sweet foods. I would often feel very thirsty and unable to focus at work. I thought it was because of stress at work, but I was caught off guard when my doctor's test said otherwise. I was diagnosed as diabetic with a blood sugar level of 208. Since I knew almost nothing about the disease, I trusted I was in good hands with my doctor. He quickly gave me a long list of medications, which includes the popular Metformin doctors recommend. He wrote me a list of foods to avoid to regulate my erratic blood sugar. He told me the drugs would help me manage the disease and continue living normally, but he was completely wrong. Little did I know that would mark the beginning of a decade-long struggle with diabetes. My sugar level became more erratic, the tingling in my legs got worse, I craved sweet foods uncontrollably. I'm embarrassed to admit it, I found it hard to have sex with my wife. I continued to pack on more and more pounds of fat. Blood pressure would go up, and the nerve pains wouldn't go easy on me either. There was a time he upgraded my medication to Metformin glyburide, but these only came with another set of problems such as bloating, kidney pains, and muscle aches. I was on this unending roller coaster of troubles until life smacked me hard in the face. I collapsed in the bathroom one Sunday morning while preparing for church. The loud bang I made echoed through the house, and that was the last thing I remembered. The next thing I remembered was waking up on a hospital bed covered in a white sheet with a tiny torch flashing light into my eyes, and my head with blood-drenched plaster. I saw my wife and children gathered all around me with teary eyes. I couldn't even believe what had happened to me. My leg amputation was scheduled for 16 weeks, and there was nothing I could do about it according to my doctor. Not even insulin would save me this time around. My blood sugar was at a dangerous 496 when I was brought in. I got home thinking how miserable my life would become with one of my legs chopped off. I would be tied to a wheelchair for the rest of my life. My wife would have to bathe me, clothe me, and do everything for me. When my grandchildren come around, they'll meet their grandpa getting rolled about in a wheelchair, and I would lose my freedom totally. I would never be able to support my family financially again because there was no way I would be able to work. This is not how I planned to live out the rest of my days. That was the darkest moment of my life. I'm not even going to deny that. But then, I don't know how it happened. I stopped feeling sorry for myself and decided to take matters into my own hands. If there was a way anywhere to reverse type 2 diabetes, I would look for it while I still have my 2 legs. And I would get my hands on it, even if it means selling my 3 cars, spending all my savings, and maybe even getting a loan. My wife tried to convince me that it was too late and we should just give up, but I was too stubborn to listen to what she was saying. If I only had a few weeks before I lose 1 leg, I might as well spend all of those precious weeks looking for a solution. This solution doesn't even have to be something my doctor agrees with. I realized it was completely stupid to stick with his suggestion forever. His advice brought me in contact with a diabetic coma, which I luckily survived. Now I was faced with an amputation coming up in the next 4 months. I was never going down without a fight. I got to work like a madman and utilized all of the weeks off work that I got at my workplace. I spent several hours each day researching diabetes on the internet and talking to everyone I could talk to. I opened a lot of medical journals, libraries, and websites I could find. That's when my eyes opened to the big lies of the diabetes industry. More than 15 million Nigerians have diabetes, and at least 1 diabetic dies every 6 seconds that pass. That's about 14,400 people dying every day from type 2 diabetes. And the most annoying part? Diabetes companies are making more money than ever. Diabetes companies are making more money than they've ever made globally. Diabetes companies are making billions of dollars worldwide by bribing doctors to push these dangerous drugs to patients who don't even need them at all. Some of these companies have been caught red-handed. These guys are making lots of money by selling drugs and aids that flat out don't work. Isn't that wickedness? Rather than tell you about studies that reveal the great threat type 2 diabetes poses to your health, they'll prescribe drugs you should buy and tell you to move on. The more research I did, the angrier I got about the whole diabetes industry. For example, did you know that diabetes increases your risk of heart attack by 4 times that of the average person? Also, did you know that your risk of developing a stroke multiplied by 2 the first time you needed to use Metformin? I bet you didn't. These are stuff the doctors are not allowed to talk about so they can protect their cash cows and keep their wallets full at the peril of millions of type 2 diabetes patients globally. They organize health seminars sponsored by these people who are more interested in keeping us customers than helping us reverse type 2 diabetes. Is it any wonder why they don't tell the truth about these laboratory-made drugs and how dangerous they are? I have water in my eyes as I'm saying this. These big companies prey on the troubles of millions of people like us globally and make themselves richer in the process. But I'm happy to say all of that madness ends today, because I'm now going to share how I discovered the solution that helped me reverse my type 2 diabetes and saved me from a leg amputation that would have left me tied to a fucking wheelchair for life. After several weeks of finding the same tips my doctor has been recommending for years without any result, I finally had the breakthrough I was looking for. I was just scrolling on Facebook one night when I saw a post from a man who claimed to have reversed his diabetes following what an Indian doctor taught him. The doctors again? I didn't believe it. I thought it was just fake too but the number of comments this man got was overwhelming. I reached out to him through Facebook Messenger, and it was there he told me about the Indian doctor that saved his life. He sent me before and after photos of himself and the weight he lost during his diabetes journey. He documented his blood sugar readings during that period and showed me all of them. I was just too overwhelmed that I asked for the contact of the doctor he was talking about. I was still a bit skeptical at this point, but I just wanted to hear the doctor because I desperately wanted it to be true. I didn't want to lose my leg or develop a heart attack, stroke, or lose my eyesight. And that was what awaited me if I don't find the solution. I got on the call not knowing what to expect, but what I learned completely blew my mind. Dr. Viraj is an Indian who has spent his 72 years of existence living and practicing medicine across Japan, India, Germany, Singapore, and a few other countries. Dr. Viraj was a bright, very clear and knowledgeable man. His works have earned him a number of national and international awards, and his story was quite interesting too. He never got to meet his mother. His father, the only parent he had, developed diabetes when he was in medical school. He saw how much diabetes ruined his father's life, the amount of money he was spending every week buying meds, the side effects of the drug, weight gain and feeling lack of energy at all times. It was painful for him to watch, and he made it his life's purpose to find a way to reverse type 2 diabetes for good. Dr. Viraj made me understand that the real cause of type 2 diabetes is not because of sugar, lack of exercise or aging. I immediately got hooked because he was the first person that would say anything different. Have you ever stopped to wonder why diabetes keeps increasing despite the fact that more and more people are avoiding sugar? He asked. People are trying desperately to fix their diabetes by reducing their carbohydrate, but they are doing it all wrong. This is because scientists have discovered that the real cause of type 2 diabetes is a toxic protein derivative flowing around in our bloodstreams. This toxic protein derivative forces fat cells to clog the insulin receptors in our body, making it impossible for our bodies to absorb and use glucose. I know this sounds a bit technical, let me make it clearer. When we eat food, our body filters the carbohydrates and turns them into glucose. Then the pancreas in our body releases insulin once glucose is in our body. Insulin is the signal for the body to start absorbing sugar so we can produce energy. The body senses that insulin is available through the insulin receptors and begins to absorb sugar and start transporting them to the organs where they are needed. Now, what this toxic protein derivative does is to wrap the insulin receptors with so much fat that they become inactive and cannot tell whether or not insulin is available again. Since the insulin receptors can't sense insulin again, they can't communicate with the body to start absorbing sugar for energy production. This is a condition known as insulin resistance, and I'm sure you've heard about it before. Insulin's resistance causes sugar to remain in the body unused for a very long time, and because our body doesn't absorb sugar for energy, we feel very tired. There's no sufficient power to transport blood to our essential organs, including the eyes, the brain, and the heart, which can lead to massive diabetes complications. Is this starting to make any sense to you? I guess so, but we're still not done. Our body is a complete system, so it tries to force this excess sugar out of the bloodstream. The first way is that it converts sugar to glycogen, which stores itself as ugly layers of fat in the belly, thighs, back, arms, and other regions. And that's how being overweight comes into place. The second way of expelling sugar from the body is by urinating them out. That's why ants tend to flock to the urine of a diabetic patient. As you have just seen, packing on more and more fat is not the cause of diabetes. Diabetes actually caused it, and that explains why exercise and all haven't helped you reverse your diabetes yet. If the insulin receptors remain blocked, you will never be able to reverse your type 2 diabetes, no matter how hard you exercise, what you eat, or the drugs you buy. Every method your doctor asks you to try that doesn't unclog the insulin receptors is doomed to fail right from the start. As you've just seen, having diabetes is not your fault. It's not something you or I can control. It just happens. But the good news now is that there is a new way to unclog your insulin receptors with fat, so that they start working normally again and your blood sugar level can go back to normal. You only have to add a couple of shrubs with active nutrients that target this toxic protein derivative and remove its effect on the insulin receptors. These shrubs contain nutrients called phytochemicals that help neutralize the effect of this toxic protein derivative. The name of this toxic protein derivative is cytokines, specifically inflammatory cytokines. These phytochemicals are in different forms and can be found in different sources. You'll find them in certain fruits and vegetables. Some of them can be found in foods like chives, grapes, cinnamon, and dark chocolate. Another set of phytochemicals you need is known as flavonoids, which you find in celery, parsley, and Romaine lettuce. There's another category known as lignans, which you find in squash and carrot. You'll find others in many vegetables, some of which are very rare to find. The key to reversing your diabetes with these phytochemicals is not to just get them and start eating them. You need to take them in a certain proportion to make it work. When you get these phytochemicals in the right proportion into your bloodstream, it creates a strong army in your body system that attacks these cytokines, thereby melting away every pound of fat clogging your insulin receptors that have been causing diabetes. And with that exercise, you melt away pounds of ugly fat, lower your blood pressure, improve your cardiovascular health, and increase your vitality in general. Then, Dr. Viraj showed me tons of clinical trials and research supporting his claim. Nine out of 10 people who took these phytochemicals in the proportion Dr. Viraj was proposing reported a drastic fall in their blood sugar, also melting the ugly pounds of fat they've held on to for long, and skyrocketing their performance in the bedroom with their wives. These were people from all walks of life, 24-year-old kids and grandfathers and grandmothers in their 80s, people with new cases of type 2 diabetes, people who have had diabetes for more than 25 years, even a few people who are pre-diabetic. But then, I threw a big question at Dr. Viraj. Why isn't anyone talking about this? And he replied saying, you can't find all of these studies when you do a lot of research, but it will be extremely hard. The media would definitely not talk about them because they have been swept under by giant pharmaceutical companies who are concerned they will lose billions if information like this leaks out. People will stop buying insulin injections and glucose readers. No one will fall victim to continually buying overpriced and dangerous chemicals labeled as drugs for the rest of their lives. A lot of money will be lost in this process, and my friend, that is very bad for business. Their business is continuity. When Dr. Viraj and a few other fearless doctors got tired of trying to persuade the medical community about the importance of phytochemicals for type 2 diabetes patients, they took matters into their own hands. Dr. Viraj and his medical friends left the foreign countries and returned to India, which is friendly to natural medicines. They set up a small company of their own which followed pure natural methods to reverse type 2 diabetes. And they have a third-party company test their products for efficiency and safety. At this point, all my objections were crushed. He wasn't trying to lobby me into buying his formula or anything. He was just explaining what I was going through. And now I trust him to an extent. I asked him to send me some bottles of his formula to see if they would be any different. He rushed them to me with first-class shipping, and I had them within a week. I had some thoughts when I saw that it was also another pill, actually 2 separate bottles. I just decided to give it a trial. It's quite easy to use. Simply pop 1 pill from each bottle in the morning and night, and that's it. I slept well like a baby the first day I took it, but I wasn't sure if it was just a random effect or is the work of the formula. Just 1 week later, my blood sugar was down from 397 to 281. The following week I measured 255. 8 weeks into this formula I was down to 160. I started recording below 120 on my 10th week or so. There were a few days in between when I recorded slightly higher than normal numbers, but everything vanished at the end of the 3rd month. I began recording an average of 108 consistently, no matter what I ate or how little I exercised. The fat seems to be coming off faster than I imagined. I could literally see myself dropping pounds of fat every week without any special exercise. The trousers that I always struggled to button up now needed me to use a belt to hold them so they don't fall off. My energy level has started to soar, and my performance with my wife was now as strong as ever. I wasn't having anxiety when it came to time to do the husband and wife thing. I reversed my type 2 diabetes and there hasn't been a side effect ever since. My doctor, surprised that I hadn't come in for my amputation, thought I was scared and placed a call through to us. I went to his office to tell him what I had gone through. He was surprised to see how leaner and healthier I looked. He took my blood sugar reading and he was dumbfounded. "I have never seen anyone lower blood pressure this fast in only a few weeks," he said. He told me there was no need for an amputation again because I was perfectly normal. I walked out of his office as a free man with the fitness level of a 35-year-old. Could you imagine your doctor tells you you're free of diabetes? How wonderful would you feel? My wife and I hugged each other and cried with happiness. Suddenly my whole life had been transformed. I would never have to take meds or pick my finger. I would never be a burden to my family and friends or have nightmares about diabetic comas or limb amputation again. I could have a dream retirement with the energy to play with my wonderful grandchildren. I could go out to restaurants and parties and not have to worry about how tired I would get or what food I would eat. I was completely free from the bondage of type 2 diabetes. It was only a few weeks after I started living like a normal man that I realized it was my moral duty to share this formula with as many people as I can. But I needed to test it with some of the other diabetics I knew first. So I started sharing my story in small groups. My 62-year-old brother-in-law was the first person that tried these formulas after me. Even though he almost gave up when it seemed like nothing was happening the first week, he believed in me and kept on taking them as instructed. He was able to lower his blood sugar from 295 to 170 in the first 6 weeks following these two remedies. He has gone to completely reverse his type 2 diabetes by the end of the 3rd month. Then I shared these formulas with a co-worker, Grace, who had just been battling type 2 diabetes for less than 2 years. Here's what she said. "My whole life has changed. These supplements have made a remarkable difference. My blood sugar level is normal, I have more energy than ever, and I've been able to finally lose the weight and keep it up for good." Then my wife shared her story with her school principal, where she teaches next. Mr. Tunji Balogun was reluctant at first because he has had his own share of the problem with diabetes drugs. But when we showed him my own blood sugar improvement over 3 weeks, then at 8 weeks, he decided he should try it out. At the 7-day mark, he lowered his blood sugar from 181 to 143. It's most likely a temporary fix, he said. But 3 weeks after, he was down to 119. Not only that, but he had shed 10 kg fat and felt wonderful, lowered his blood pressure and even got his LDL cholesterol down. He was able to throw his meds and testing kits away for good. Then our pastor's friend tried it too. He was 75 and retired, and like a lot of guys his age, he had developed type 2 diabetes too. He wasn't overweight or anything, he was just a skinny diabetic type. Within the first 4 weeks of trying out this formula, he wrote to me and said, "I don't know what this is today, but I have had this new sort of energy since I started." Within 12 weeks, his blood sugar was down to 112 and he stopped pricking himself with insulin injections too. That was when we realized we had struck gold. What if we shared this in a public group and told people my story? We set up this website to share our secrets so others can get the same result and throw away their medications and start living life without restrictions again. We found groups where there were thousands of people who were tired of being stuck on diabetic med that did nothing for them. We shared our discovery with anyone who was interested. To tell you the truth, I didn't expect it to work as well as it did, but I was completely blown away by the results. Before we knew it, the small post had created a surge of unending demand from all over. People were texting, sending emails and calling to have their hands on these formulas. These testimonials evoked a feeling in me that I'm doing something great, and it further motivated me to let everyone have access to these formulas. You could be one of those people today too, if you act fast enough. I have 120 bottles of these formulas that I'll show you how to get in a moment. But first, I think it's high time I showed you exactly what this 2-in-1 formula is. Dr. Viraj and his team have decided to call it the 2-in-1 blood sugar destroyer. Comprising Diabicare DC and the blood sugar normalizer. This 2-in-1 formula is the only all-natural blood sugar regulating formula that targets the root cause of type 2 diabetes. This 2-in-1 formula contains the exact combination of natural phytochemicals in the proportion that research has shown to help neutralize the effect of this cytokine. These phytochemicals help to wipe the fat off the surface of your insulin receptor so your body can start using sugar normally again. And diabetes becomes a thing of the past. It does this without requiring special exercise or a strict diet of any kind. It also helps you to lose weight effortlessly while skyrocketing your energy and improving your sexual performance. Plus, it eliminates all the troubles that your doctor's medication could have cost you over the years. In case you've given up on your type 2 diabetes, Diabecare DC and the blood sugar normalizer is the only solution you have never heard of. I know the question on your mind now is around the price of the product. I'll get to that in a moment, but first let me ask you a few questions. What would it be worth to you to never face the pain of going under the blade for amputation? What will it mean to you to finally experience the strength of your youth again and spend more time with your spouse, children and grandchildren? What will it be worth for you to never face the risk of a heart attack, a stroke, blindness and other diabetic complications? Think about it. It's not easy to place a price on this kind of freedom. Finally, you'll never feel like the odd one out again, and you can keep the bunch of lucky people who think you've caused your own diabetes because of your own lifestyle in their place. You could eat what everyone else is eating at parties without the fear of sending your blood sugar through the roof. You can start enjoying uninterrupted, passionate and enjoyable sex with your partner, your better half again, after so many years of growing apart. And you think that you don't have to follow a special diet or do hard exercise. What is it worth? Considering how much you've spent so far just treating the symptoms of diabetes and how much you still spend in the future if it continues, do you think it will be worth $200,000 to never spend the rest of your days tied to the bed because of an amputated leg, a stroke or blindness? The good news is it doesn't even cost half of this to completely reverse your type 2 diabetes and start rebuilding your life again. If this were a ploy to make a lot of money for me, I know a lot of people would be happy to pay even more than that. But this is not about the money for me. I want as many people as possible to experience what life feels like without diabetes again. Before I tell you the ridiculous price you would invest to lay your hands on the 2-in-1 diabetes destroyer, I need you to answer this question and make sure you understand what you're getting into so you don't end up disappointed. How soon can you expect results with the 2-in-1 diabetes destroyer? If I had to consistently take this supplement for 2 years before I noticed a difference in my diabetes, I'm sure I wouldn't have agreed to test it at all. I noticed a difference in my quality of sleep the very first day I took them. My brother-in-law had to wait for a week to notice any difference. A man I met on Facebook saw his blood sugar drop from 226 to 120 in just 2 months. The speed with which these formulas work varies from person to person. While everyone would notice a difference in the very first week of trying these formulas, something that is certain is that Diabecare DC and the blood sugar normalizer will completely reverse your diabetes type 2 in just 3 months. Here's what I would advise. Even when you notice a great improvement in your blood sugar after you start taking these capsules, please take them for 3 months to ensure that your diabetes goes forever. That's how long Dr. Viraj told me to use them for complete reversal. Imagine the stomach pain, the vomiting, weak performance on the bed, and low sex drive all becoming a thing of the past. What would it mean to you? How about the joy of never becoming a financial, emotional, and physical burden to your family? Deeply think about this. What would you give to get this transformation? Research has shown that the average diabetic will spend more than 4.5 million naira over their lifetime managing diabetes and eventually develop a heart attack or a stroke if care is not taken. Most of the people who have told about Diabecare and blood sugar normalizer agree they will gladly pay up to 200,000 naira to bring back their lives again. But like I said earlier, this isn't about the money for me. It's about helping as many people as possible to take charge of their lives, which includes you if you act fast today. You will never find diabetic and blood sugar normalizer in any pharmacy you visit, because it poses a great threat to their best-selling products, which include various drugs, insulin injections, and various other diabetes management products. Dr. Viraj told me some big pharmaceutical companies have offered to pay them life-changing money for this combo. And when he asked what they were going to do with them, they wouldn't talk. These companies want to have them safeguarded where people like us will never find it. They even go as far as paying doctors and publicity companies to spread fake news about natural health products. They say they are untested and risky, something our forefathers have been using for years. And independent science-based research shown to be very effective and safe in lowering blood sugar and reversing insulin resistance. There are 60 tiny capsules in each bottle. Simply take one pill from each of them in the morning and at night. That's all there is to it. You'll see a difference that's hard to miss within your first few days of taking the 2-in-1 diabetes destroyer. Please, do not stop taking these drugs simply because you're getting better. Take them for 3 months to experience a complete reversal of your diabetes. The 2-in-1 diabetes destroyer is not just meant to help you reverse your type 2 diabetes. It can also help you lower your blood cholesterol, prevent your risk of developing cancer. It can also help you lower your blood pressure by significant points. The next 120 bottles of Diabetic DC and the blood sugar normalizer are reserved exclusively for those that watch this video. But you must act fast before everything is sold out. Diabetic DC and the blood sugar normalizer are so powerful and effective that word has already gotten out beyond my expectations. Nigerian men and women are discovering these blood sugar regulators and they are rushing to buy up to 3 bottles at a time. They don't just want to lower their blood sugar in the first month alone, they want to completely reverse their diabetes and regain their lives again. This is what the 3-month plan will do for you if you invest in it today. I've shown some of the countless researches that prove that the natural shrubs in Diabetic DC and the blood sugar normalizer help you lower your blood sugar fast and reverse your type 2 diabetes forever. I feel proud seeing that men and women who were in my former shoes are now taking charge of their lives. Like I told you earlier, most people order 2 and 3 months plan. This means that we are always having more orders than the product I get from Dr. Viraj. Because of the time it takes to screen every natural shrub for quality, and the long time it takes to bring Diabetic and blood sugar normalizer into Nigeria, clearing and forwarding, not having these formulas in stock is real. I would hate for that to happen to you. Imagine finally you're able to lower your blood sugar in the first month, your wife is already feeling the way you give it to her in bed. Your energy levels are getting higher, but then when you come back to the website to get your remaining 2 months supply to complete your diabetes reversal, you see a big message in the top right corner that says, out of stock. It's not even worth risking, my friend. You know you really want to break free from insulin injections and drugs with horrible side effects. You wouldn't have stayed with me for this long if you weren't. I've double checked with my assistant to reserve the remaining 120 bottles for people who watch this video. As long as you are among the first people who order these natural formulas today, you will be able to buy the complete 3 months plan supply and never risk putting your diabetes reversing journey through a halfway journey. And the great news is that the more you decide to invest right now, the more you save. While Diabetic DC and the blood sugar normalizer have a normal price of 53,000 naira for a month supply, which is a great discount on its own, on this website only, you will be able to order the complete 3 months plan for 75,000, which is just 25,000 naira per month. The 1 month plan costs 39,500 and the 2 month plan only costs 59,500. If you can't afford the 3 months pack at once, you can take advantage of the 1 month and the 2 months plan, which are heavily discounted too. However, I will urge you to get the 3 months as the best option. That way you save a lot more money, and you also not worry about finding that we've completely sold out all of the bottles we have the next time you come to order. If you feel hot, urinate frequently, have strange smelling breath, or have extreme thirst, you could be about to fall into a diabetic coma as I did. What's going to happen if you don't make any changes? You try increasing your meds with no result except dangerous side effects like nausea, weight gain, sexual dysfunction and heart disease. 7 different multinational randomized control trials of diabetes type 2 medication prove that they fail to reduce heart disease, a major killer of diabetic patients. How about the severe fatigue? Until your final days, you'll be a burden on your family and friends. This might seem like I'm trying to scare you. I'm sorry if it sounds like that, but it's just the truth. There is a way out of all of the trouble. I've shown you the path, only you can decide to walk the path. As they say, you can drag a horse to the river, but can't force feed it unless it wants to. This is just the best I can do for you. If you don't see this as a great option yet, then this is not meant for you, and I'm going to advise you to close this presentation. What if everything I've said is not completely true? I understand your fears. The doctor has probably been lying to you for years and selling you more drugs. That's why I'm excited to tell you the deal I got from Dr. Viraj. If you order for Diabetics DC and the blood sugar normalizer today, you have a full 180 days to decide if it's worth your tiny investment today. That's 6 complete months. If you don't agree that these formulas have helped your life, simply contact me for a full refund and I'll pay you from my pocket before I get paid by Dr. Viraj. I should tell you that this is a complete payment on delivery process. You only pay a 1,000 naira commitment fee on the call with me or my assistant. To weed out indecisive people, you pay the rest once you receive your order. This is to ensure that you show up to receive your order when the delivery agent arrives. You see, your investment today is 100% risk-free, right? Before you click the link below this video to get your own supply of the 2-in-1 Diabetes Destroyer, I should tell you about the exclusive gift you could get with your order today. It's a completely pure natural herbal extra Dr. Viraj gave me. What it does is that it helps your body de-stress. This means that if you're expecting or just had a stressful days, you can skip the difficulty of sleep by swallowing 2 tiny capsules of this extract. It's known as ashwagandha. Ashwagandha has been in use for years by Indians. Making it easier to fall asleep is just one of the numerous benefits of ashwagandha. It also helps to lower blood pressure, enhances sexual performance, it lowers bad cholesterol in the body. It helps you grow fuller hair in case you've started losing hair because of old age. Ashwagandha is simply very powerful. I only have 60 bottles of ashwagandha with me here. Having just 60 bottles means I don't have enough ashwagandha to go around for everyone that orders today. Don't get me wrong, you'll still be able to reverse your diabetes without ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is just a bonus for fast responders today. The time to act is now, my friend. Watching this video to this extent means you think there's some element of truth to what I've been telling you. Allow me to prove it to you at my own risk. There are 2 ways to order today. Click the link below and fill out the form that pops up. My assistant will contact you to take your order and ask for a deposit of 1,000 naira only. You can also call the number on your screen if you want. Please call this number between 8 AM and 6 PM Mondays to Saturdays. Just before I round up my presentation, I should tell you that people are buying in large quantities and they are paying for their friends and loved ones. If you want to get some bottles for yourself today, you should act now while you are watching this video. I can't guarantee how long this supply will last. What I can guarantee is that if you try out Diabetics DC and the blood sugar normalizer today, your doctor will be surprised at how fast you're lowering your blood pressure. It will get to a point you will have no choice but to completely take you off your drugs. Like my doctor, he may even ask that you tell him what you're using, but that's not the real reason we are doing this. Decisions like this are what we make for our family. You have the opportunity a lot of people never had in front of you today. Will you take it or let it slip and continue doing trial and error that big pharmaceutical companies want you to do? Your decision is completely up to you. Click the link below and fill out the simple form to order, or call the number for a fast order. Research has shown that diabetes is the leading cause of blindness among old people today. More people are dying while the diabetes industry is growing by billions every year. I don't want to be just another number among people who lose their lives from diabetes, or you. I know you don't want to be that too. Take action backed by my 6-month complete refund policy today. Select a package below or call the phone number to place your order. Still here? I thought you would love to hear from more people who have completely altered the course of their lives because they used Diabetics DC and the blood sugar normalizer. Mr. Tomiwa Dangunduro from Abeokuta said this. About 2 months ago, when I started diabetic and blood sugar normalizer, my blood sugar count was at 332 and my kidneys were in very poor condition. Just today I was giving my result from my last physical and can report that my blood sugar count is 110 and my kidney function is just slightly elevated. By the way, I forgot to mention, when I was first diagnosed, I weighed over 250 pounds and my blood pressure was high. I now weigh 193 pounds and my blood pressure is normal. Thank you for all your help. My family and I are forever grateful. Mr. C. Joma from Abia State said that, after being a diabetic for many years, I am happy to report that thanks to diabetic and blood sugar normalizer, my blood tests are now showing that I am officially diabetes free. Saying thank you does not seem to be strong enough. God bless you on your work just begins to express my feelings.